it's Mrs. Blankenbeckler. I am here to do a short recording to help review what we did this week. So I'm getting some questions about moving some of our equations from one form to the other. So I thought I would do a quick video on just how to move from one form to the other. So I'm going to start off with standard form first. Okay, standard form is AX plus BY equals C. And that's the standard form for a linear equation or a line. So I'm going to plug into that 2x minus 4y equals 14. Okay, so now that's in standard form. If I want to change the form to y-intercept form, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write over here, what am I trying to get to? Y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope, mountains, m is for mountains, and mountains have slope, and b for my y-intercept. So I have to get this equation in this form. So I have to get the y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, and I get negative 4y, because these cancel, equals, and I put my x first. If you put your x second, it's okay. But I like to put my x first, plus 14. So I end up with negative 4x, or I'm sorry, negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 14. Now I have to get rid of the negative 4, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 4. So I'm just getting the y by itself. So my final answer is y equals, two negatives cancel, make a positive 1/2. X, 14 divided by 4 is, actually 14 divided by negative 4 is negative 7/2, or negative 3.5. So there's my final answer right there. And I'm going to slide it just a little closer so you guys can see it. So now it's in y-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So my slope, or my m, is 1/2, and my b, or my intercept, is negative 7/2. Okay? So m is 1/2, b is negative 7/2. And that's how you go from standard form to intercept form. Okay, now let's do one more, or maybe two, or maybe three, but we'll at least do one more. Okay, now we're going to start in a different form. Now let's look at the, I know there were a lot of questions in class about point slope. So I'm going to give you the point slope form. Here is what I call the skeleton. It's a skeleton because it's like the empty shell. X minus x1. Okay, this one is point slope. And the reason it's called point slope form is because you can pick a point out of this equation, and you can pick the slope out of this equation. So the slope right here is m, just like it is in the other equation. M is for mountains, and mountains have slope. And then my ordered pair, or my point, is this x and this y. And be careful which order you pick it out of. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in y minus 3 equals 1/2 x plus 6. Okay, so if this is the equation I'm given, I can actually extract out of that equation my slope, which is 1/2, and a point, the point that I can get out is the x is negative 6, not positive 6. Remember, the equation is subtraction, so that's the same as x minus a negative 6. So the slope is 1/2, and the ordered pair is negative 6. And then over here on the y, the equation is subtraction, so actually I'm just taking the 3 out. So if it's easier for you, just think it's always the opposite signs, or you can remember the equation is y minus the x, the y value, and x minus the x value. So you might have to rewrite this as the double negative to pull the point out. Okay, so there's your slope and there's your point. What if I have to change this form though? If I'm given this form and I need to change it from point slope to, let's say, standard form, Okay, standard form. There are a couple ways to do it. I think the book got rid of the fraction first. You can do that. I like to distribute first. I just like to get rid of that parentheses. So I like to go ahead and distribute. And as long as you use the rules of algebra, you can do it either way. So 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 of 6, well, 1/2 of 6 is 3. So I'm just going to write the 3 there. And then bring down the y minus 3. Now I like to get rid of my fractions. So since my denominator is 2, I'm going to multiply every single term in the whole equation by 2 to clear it out. So I'm going to put a bracket around there and a 2. So 2y minus, distributing back in, 6 equals, distributing all the way across, 2 times 1/2. 1/2 of 2 is 1. So 1x plus 6. Okay, so all I did was distribute. Now let's collect everything together. If I'm going to standard form, remember I want it to be ax plus by equals c. So I have to get the x first. So let me turn that down just a little bit so you guys can see the standard form. There we go. So I need this x to come over here. So I'm going to subtract x, and get negative x, bring down plus 2y, and I'm going to add my 6 over because I want my constants on the right, because the constant is over here on the right. The constant is a number without a variable, equals 12. Okay? Now, I'm almost done. I've got ax plus by equals c, but there's a slight problem. The slight problem is a is negative. In standard form, a can't be negative. So all I'm going to do is multiply every term by -1. In other words, change the sign of every term. So if I change the sign of every term, I'm going to get positive x minus 2y equals -12. So if I have to define my a, b, and c at this point, my a is positive 1, my b is -2, and my c is -12. And voila! I have changed it from point-slope form and over to standard form. Lots and lots of steps, but there's also some good information you can get out of the point-slope formula. So that was my equations in different forms, linear equations in different forms lesson. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great Friday, guys.